We're almost done with the Cybertruck, and we got it wrapped, we got it PPF'd in the front, and we have the last thing that I think makes it look just perfect. The rear window is a lot darker than the front window. And that's pretty common for SUVs and trucks and all the modern cars that are coming out. So when you actually open this up, this shows roughly about a 27. So what does that even mean? What that means is 20%, 27% of the light can actually go through. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing. They measure it by VLT, visual light transmittance. Let's just look at the front right here. And just so you know, I did remove the trims right here. It makes it a lot easier for the glass to move up and down or side to side. So on this one, this is 80%. It says 81%. So that means that 81% of the light will go through. So to match it or make it slightly darker, we're gonna actually be putting 20% on this. So the first step that you wanna do is, on the Cybertruck, is it has a latch right here. You have to trick it that it's closed. So you're gonna go 1, 2, and then the window goes all the way up, like as if it's closed, right? When you do this, do not close this. When you close this, I'm not gonna do it. What's gonna happen is, look at that. It gets way too close, and it can, for some cars, it can risk actually breaking the window. Really, the tint process on any car is the same. And what's interesting about this is there's really not a lot of curvature to this. So the first step we wanna do is just clean it up. And you're probably wondering, why are you cleaning the outside? Everybody asks me that question. The reason why we're cleaning the outside is because you actually want to shrink from the outside. So if you shrink from the inside, especially for windshields and stuff like that, it's pretty hard. So what you do is you lay it on the actual outer, and then after that, you would actually install it in the inside. So once I clean that, this is just a slip soap solution. It's just usually like baby shampoo or dish wash soap. I'm just gonna mist it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tint, and we're just going to line it up. And this is a frameless window, so we can line it up kind of how it will fit. So once we get to that point in tint, you create a house. You go from the outer edge perimeter like this, and then you start pushing it all down. Look at that, there's absolutely no freaking curve on this thing. Must be one of the easiest window to do it on. So yes, there are no wrinkles or what we call fingers, but what we still want to do at this point is just heat it up and see if anything comes up. Okay, I mean, there was like maybe a small little area that popped up, but there really wasn't. Maybe in the next one I can just try installing it without even shrinking it. But in most cars, like the Model S, Model 3, all the other ones have a really good amount of curvature. You'll see that I'll get a bunch of fingers just come up. And what that means is you have to shrink it. So just like PPF and vinyl, you actually stretch it across things. But in tint, it's the opposite. You have to shrink it two sides. So when you get it off, you'll see all this like weird ripples and wrinkles after you shrink it, because it's gonna fit perfectly into the glass. And then we go to the other side, is I wanna make sure I protect the interior. We're gonna go ahead and clean this up, and we use just like a Scotch-Brite, and it just kinda nicely cleans it. And I wanna make sure I really get the edges. That's actually one area that I learned that carries a lot of particles. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it down. And then when I get to this point, I actually like using my blue squeegee, because this is my inside squeegee. I actually have an outside squeegee where when I'm doing shrinking, I use, which is the pink one. I just don't like cross-contaminating, so that's kind of what I do. And then I'm gonna do it one more time, but I'm just very careful. I do use a razor blade, and I just carefully clean, especially the edges. There's some contamination. And it just makes sure that I get rid of all specks on the glass. So you see I take a good amount of just effort cleaning this. Again, use the blue squeegee. And then we're going to hydrate it. This allows the film to move around easy. And then I like starting from the bottom. All right, just go up and then transfer. So this step is so important because you got to be fast. Like the longer you're out there, the higher the chance of your contamination, right? So I'm going to try to align it how I had it. I like what I had earlier. Bring this down and just kind of using my thumbs and my fingers. So there are a couple ways that people do this. One way is some people like shaving it. So if you do shave it, you kind of go all the way to the edge and then you shave it. But in mine, I really don't mind the edge right here. Oh. Bring this down. And I'm not going like super hard, right? Like right now, I'm just getting it in place, anchoring it down. All right, so I got everything down and I'm just gonna do a harder squeegee. And this is my other pink, this is my inside squeegee. And we're gonna go ahead and do our final squeegee, which is usually with the blue squeegee. I'm gonna go out wide. I'm gonna put a good amount of force. And just so you know, this is actually my first time installing this film. I like it though, it's pretty easy. I'm not having any issues with it. All right, so one more final squeegee. And then what I like to do is using something like this or a right angle, and I go all the way to the bottom and I just slide it because there's a lot of water, right? So it has to escape. And then I grab a microfiber and I try to get some of the moisture out of the edges. And what you do is you want to do the finger test. So if you are doing a template, you just don't want it to go over that, or else you do need to shave it. But I'm just going to try to grab all that moisture in here all the way. Kind of wipe it down, and this is where you can inspect. And so far, pretty good. So I actually designed this pattern myself, but I mean, I'm gonna edit it a little bit, but I don't know, maybe this is one of those where you could do yourself. The reason why I haven't really focused a little bit more on the tint side is because I feel like tint is very easy to do, but it's hard to do very well. And I think it takes a lot of years to learn it. Have a lot of respect for the trade. But this one's definitely a lot easier because there's a lot less shrinking. That might be a kit that might be worth doing. So let us know in the comments below if you are interested in doing this yourself. We'll definitely look into doing that. So the last part is you could either put it out in the sun or you could just heat the edges. I like hitting the edges. Awesome. So we're not done yet. We have one more area to tint. It's just like really hard to access right here. Let's go ahead and get in there. I just like to use another brush. I don't do any razor blade here. Like that, and then use the microfiber to catch some of this. And then you gotta be very careful when you put the tint in there because there's just not a lot of room. So you don't want it to touch any of the other areas. I go a little bit lighter than I would just because you don't want to wet that area. It does have some electronics. I think this is the most difficult part, guys, is dust control. It's very hard, especially for tint. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna try to touch it. Turn off the AC on your Cybertruck. You'll thank me later. And then try. And just a little bit of a mist. It's just inspecting it from the outside. It's a lot easier to look from the outside. Impossible to see from the inside, guys. So go ahead, use some of my microfiber to collect some of the moisture. So this is good. So you can see that the windows are back to normal. I'm gonna go and I just want to show you guys now that this is all good. What is it now? So this is actually going to be about 18, it says. And go ahead and put the trims back on. Really, really easy. Boom. All right, you guys ready for this reveal? All right, this one's gonna be good. Instead of closing it all the way, I don't want it to like go up. Let's go ahead and open this up and then let it fully dry. Well, there you have it. Now the Cybertruck is tinted with 20% AV Denizen tint. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. We'll see you later.